What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Jerome, and I'm here tonight with a review for Love and Hip Hop in New York, Season 9, Episode 2, titled The Blame Game. So, without further ado, we are going to get started with this video. Alright, so first up, I'm going to talk about Jewels and Kimbella. So, we had this scene where Kimbella was at home, and, she's talking about how she has one of her real friends coming over. She's not talking about Yandy. She has Juju coming over. So then she and Juju, they're talking about the stuff that's going on between she and Joel's right about now. You know how when they were at the park, he got the phone call from the lawyer, and the lawyer's telling Joel's that he has two options. He can take the plea deal, which will give him 18 to 24 months in jail, or he can go to court and fight the case. But if he goes to court and loses the case, he risks going to prison for 5 years. And Juju is familiar with a situation like this because her father was in the same position at one point in his life. He had the opportunity to take a plea deal or fight the case, and her dad ended up in prison for 20 years, and that was something that affected her. And Kimbella says how when she's talking to the kids, they're kind of trying to keep so much stuff away from the kids, not trying to tell them as much about what's going on between Jewels right now in this court case, which I agree with that. And then Kimbella is talking about how she's talked to Jewels over the years about him getting off the drugs, and ultimately I felt bad for Kimbella when she was talking about that. But you can say to somebody who's on drugs, who's an alcoholic, who has any kind of addiction issue, you can advocate to them all day, every day that, hey, you got kids, or you got this, or you got that to live for. But ultimately, it's going to be up to them to want to say, hey, it's time for me personally to kick this habit and get off the drugs, get off the alcohol, even sex addicts, whatever your addiction is up to that person to want to say, hey, I need help, I need to do better, and let me go get the help that I need to get off of the drugs, whatever it is. So I do feel bad for Kimbella, but like I said, ultimately it's Jewel's choice to get off the drugs, not yours. You can advocate for him, you can try to push him, you can tell him, like I know there are people who, when they have a spouse or a lover who is addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol and things like that, they'll tell them, I'm gonna take the kids and we're gonna leave. But even then, that doesn't make the person hit rock bottom and say, what, fuck it, I need to get some help. It just, like I said, it just ultimately comes down to that person when they are ready to get the help themselves for themselves. All right, so then we had this scene where Jewels, he is in the studio, he's working on some music, and I was watching the Breakfast Club interview that Yandy was doing this past week with Charlamagne, Angela Yee, and Envy. She was talking about how Jewels has a lot of music that he can put out, and I do feel when it comes to Jewels is a good talent, and like Yandy says, he has a lot of music. But Envy also said, do you think his time has passed? I don't think that Jewels' time has passed. I think what it is he's gotten older, for one, but Jewels can put out music and I think people will still listen to it. It's just Jewels has to get out of Jewels' head and put his music out there. So and looking at Jewels this whole so far with these 2 episodes, you want to make fun of some of the things that you see. But then when you look at Jewels, it's just like you feel so bad because, number one, when he's talking, he talks with that lisp in his mouth. And I'm like, oh my God. So he had the lisp in his mouth. And then it sounded like his mouth was full of a lot of spit. And then if you look in one scene, you can see the spit in his mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, will he please just spit that shit out of his mouth? Like, it's bothering me. And then when he's talking, it's like, it's your teeth up here. So it sounds like he's trying to keep his teeth in his mouth. So he uses his tongue to protect his teeth. And I don't want to make fun, but that's just how it sounds to me. Excuse me. So while he's in the studio, Mano comes and joins him in the studio. And basically, he's just telling Mano about all his options that he has right now. How, he has the choice between the plea deal, which is 18 to 24 months, or he can go to court and fight it. But if he loses, it's 5 years. And the thing Jewels is saying is that he's innocent. He didn't go into that airport, willingly carrying a gun. And he's saying that he tells us again that he didn't know there was a gun in the bag until it was all over the radio and the blogs. So then Mano was telling Jewels how he went to jail when he was 17 years old, and he was in there for over a decade, and that's how Mano got into rapping. And Jewels' whole thing is if he goes, I mean, regardless, he's going to jail, but he's going to be away from his kids. His daughter will be 11 years old, and if he goes for 5, his daughter will be 11 years old, and his son will be 12. I could have that backwards. I can't remember. But, and he's talking about how, at this stage, at the kids' lives, and even then, that's when they need their father, especially his son. That's when they need his father the most, which I agree with that. But, you should have thought about some of the things that, hindsight is 2020, and Jewels should have thought about a lot of the stuff that he was doing when he was doing it, and how that could affect him and his family going forward, even if he didn't have kids when he was doing the drugs. He just should have thought about a lot of stuff. And like I said, again, hindsight is 2020. So once again, we have Juju and Kimbella meeting up. So Kimbella is once again telling Juju about the stuff with the kids, how much they're trying to guard the kids and protect the kids, and not, try to scare them, because they don't really know what's going to happen with Jewels. So it's just best not to tell the kids everything. And then, when they're talking about that, Juju says, well, why don't you reach out to, Yandy? Now, mind you, Kimbella met up with Juju despite some of the stuff that Jonathan was saying, which we'll get into that a little bit later in the review. But for now, we're just going to stick with this. So, like I said, Juju said she's good on Yandy, and that she tells her that, Yandy texts her after Jewels got out of jail or wherever he was at. And, she's just talking about how it's fake. And, then, Juju asks Kimbella how is she going to feel, being in the same room with Yandy at Jonathan's party. And, Kimbella's like, wait a minute. Jonathan invited you to his party? Because, he was talking a lot of shit about you. Talking about how you were fake and whatnot. And, Juju was like, well, no, Jonathan didn't invite me to the party, but Yandy did. And I'm like, oh. And that was my thing, which I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that later as well. Why Yandy felt the need to invite Juju to the party if Jonathan did not invite her himself. I'm not even going to go there, but, yeah. That's that. Okay, and then we get this next scene with Kimbella. She is on FaceTime with Jewels as she is putting the kids to sleep for the night. And, Jewels is talking to little Jewels, and he's telling him that, he's right now the man of the house, which I was like, oh. I felt what Kimbella was feeling. And then, Kimbella goes into the room, and they talking, but then his ankle monitor beeps telling it to charge. I'm like, whoa, ankle monitors beep? I've never saw anybody with an ankle monitor. So what do you have to do? Take the batteries out and charge that bitch? Like, can you dip out when your ankle monitor batteries are low? That's a question I really do want to know. Like, can you do that? Which I'm pretty sure you probably can, because I'm pretty sure they probably can still detect your ass anywhere you fucking go, bitches. All right, so next we got Alexis Ground. So, she does have her grandmother up there with her, and her baby is with her grandmother. And, her grandmother is happy to have the baby around because her grandmother lost her husband and her sister. So the baby is a breath of fresh air for her grandmother. So, like I said, her grandmother's just happy. So then, Alexis tells us everything that happened with the baby, how she had a brain bleed, which that poor baby, she's been through a lot in her little young life. Like, that's crazy, man. And she's on Medicaid. I'm like, wait a minute, never mind. I'm not even gonna go there, but then Alexis says that the baby stopped breathing when she was 5 weeks old, and God, that little girl, she's a true testament, because she's been through a lot, and she's a strong little girl. Like, I remember when Alexis had her, and when they showed the pictures of her, I'm like, oh my god, like crazy, 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 crazy. So then Alexis tells her grandmother how she signed her deal, and her grandmother was like, "What deal? Did you have your lawyer read over the contract?" She says yes, and then she talks about One-Eyed Jack, and how he doesn't claim her, and she's talking about the reason why he doesn't claim her baby is because of Solo Lucci trying to use her for clout, and I'm like, Solo Lucci was using you for clout, but. Okay, never mind. I'm not even gonna say what I was about to say. But if you want to say that, go ahead and say it. And then she's talking about how One-Eyed Jack was in a hospital with her, but when it came down to time to sign the birth certificate, One-Eyed Jack pieced out on that ass and said, "Fuck this shit. I'm not gonna sign that birth certificate because that is not my baby." Which we still keep hearing that stuff. Like, ugh. I honestly, I don't give a fuck who the baby daddy is. But they gonna figure that shit out at some point. And when it comes to Alexis, like, you saw how he did Masika. You were arguing with Masika on Love and Hip Hop season 4. Like, why would you want to go and get pregnant by this nigga? You see how you do Masika, his other baby mamas. Like, why would you get pregnant for this nigga? Like, tell me why. It makes zero sense. Like, and even her grandmother was talking to her, trying to talk some sense into her. So, her grandmother says, I get that you want her father in her life, but if he's not going to be there full time, he doesn't need to be there at all, which I definitely 100% agree with the grandmother. Like, if he can't be there, just not even semi full time, like, shit, what the fuck you need him for? Like, be good without him. So then we see this scene where Alexis goes to the studio. And I'm still trying to figure out, why does Alexis have on this hot ass fur coat in New York City in the summer? Like, Mona, do y'all know what season y'all are in? Because I know y'all ain't filming this shit now. So this was back in the summer or either early fall, like August or September. So I know full fucking well it was not hot not cold in New York, not cold enough for no fucking fur coat. Like, fuck out of here. And then you got this low ass music video playing for her to meet up with One-Eyed Jack. So she thought she was meeting up with One-Eyed Jack, but One-Eyed Jack didn't show up. Like, Mona, you gotta stop playing with us, please. Alright, so then we got old screaming ass Jonathan back. So, him, Sin, and Kimbella, they all went shopping, supposedly. They never opened them bags up, not once. So we don't know if those bags were just, props that Mona gave to them and said, y'all walked on the street with these props. We're going to pretend like y'all went shopping, and that's going to be the end of it. Because they asked Sam, what did she buy? She said she bought some sexy stuff for her and Joe, and how, she ain't getting no attention from Joe. And, then Jonathan is talking about how he's having a birthday party and how he wants all of his friends there. But he says it's going to be awkward with, Kimbella and Yandy being there because those two are not talking with each other. And Kimbella's like, it ain't going to be awkward for me at all. And then, then we go back into this whole, which when did this happen? Because I actually saw this when it happened on social media, when it was Kimbella's birthday and Yandy posted a comment up on her post. And then Kimbella, was it the Shade Room that she posted it on? She posted it somewhere. And then Kimbella came back with a clap back about that they hadn't talked to each other in a while. So why is she being fake on social media? Which I verbatimly, I saw that like on I saw the Shade Room because they they showed Yandy's post and then they showed Kimbella's post up under it. So I'm like, God damn. And I actually have to agree with what Kimbella said. Even if we're not talking, like, you got my number. We are friends. Why are you on social media at 8 o'clock at night wishing me a fucking happy birthday? You are my friend. You have my number. Call me up, bitch, and be like, you know what, bitch? I know we ain't talking to each other right now. I love you regardless, and I want to just wish you a happy birthday. Now, I may tell you, fuck you. Why are you calling me? And, well, I might pick up the phone like, what the fuck are you calling me for on my birthday? And if you just say, hey, I want to wish you a happy birthday, I'd be like, oh, well, sorry for saying fuck you, but, thank you. but I'm still mad at you, but eventually we're gonna talk. Like that's some shit that you could say, and I get where that's exactly I understood where Kimbella was coming from, and then Jonathan, they're talking about Juju, and Jonathan talking about how Juju is, he pitched this idea to Juju about a radio show, and I'm like, so you are mad at Juju about a radio show? Okay, that's really stupid. And then he calls Juju fake. He says she's faker than a $2 bill. But I have Jonathan, a $2 bill is very much real. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but that is a $2 bill that I keep all the time because they are very rare and hard to find. And then this one, my mother gave it to me, so I always hold on to this one because it means a lot to me. But yeah, Jonathan, a $2 bill is very much real, my nigga. It's just hard to find, but the bitch is real. Like, so basically you're saying that Juju is as real as a $2 bill. You could have said she's as fake as a $3 bill matched by a $4 bill. That would have made a lot more sense. See? But you said she's as fake as a $2 bill. Like I said, $2 bills, real, just rare. Oh, that's a good one. So Juju is a rare one of a kind because, it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to find a $2 bill. And Juju's a hard kind of chick to find. So, she's rare. So, fuck Jonathan. I like Juju. I don't think Juju is fake. If you want to get mad at her because of a radio show, like, that is so fucking petty. And that means that you ain't even really friends with her if you're going to get mad at her over a radio show. All right, so now we move over to Jonathan's party. So we see Anais there with this terribly fucked up ass pink wig that she needs to take off and burn. And then she's in this sheer see-through dress. And, she's like, Jonathan invited me to his party. And he told me to wear all black. But I'm not going to a funeral, so I'm not wearing that. Anais's voice is so nasally. It sounded like she has a cold. Like she needs to blow her nose. And, it irks me so badly. Then Juju walks in with Kimbella. And Jonathan's face completely goes down. And then he starts to argue with Kimbella. And he says that, Kimbella has said something basically to agree with him. And Kimbella is like, no. So then we see Anais. She starts to get into it with Juju. So the reason why Anais is getting into it with Juju is because of some stuff that happened at the reunion last year, which I completely forgot about. And I'm like, girl, are you sitting here really seriously arguing with her about something that happened months ago? If you haven't gotten past that, that's your own motherfucking problem. Like, if I was Juju, I would have reached over and slapped that fucking wig off her head, looking a fucking fool. Like, ugh. So, then Jonathan and Juju, they go off to the side, and he talks to Juju, and he's telling Juju how he felt about her going to the radio show. Well, him telling her about him telling her and Yandy about his idea for the radio show, and then Juju going down to Miami. And, pitching that idea. So I wonder if this was around the time that Juju was down there filming Love and Hip Hop Miami with Amada. Who knows? But, Juju says, I did mention your name in there, so I didn't want to exclude you. And, he tells Juju that he feels like she's secretive. And then Kimbella comes over, and Jonathan tells Kimbella that, she agreed with him about her being secretive. And Kimbella says, wait a minute, like, you making this into something that is completely not. Like, I didn't agree with you in that sense. She said, and Mona then played it back. What Kimbella said was, yes, she is secretive, but you have to get to know her in order for her walls to break down for her to let you in. And that's exactly what Kimbella said. And I'm like, Jonathan, you playing a game of semantics right about now. Like, fuck out of here. So they start arguing a little bit with one another. And then, in walks the one who really originally invited Juju to the party, Miss Yandy. So, they all talking and, Juju, she leaves. And then, Jonathan, he goes back down to where Sin is. I would have been like, Sin, like, what y'all say? Like, I can't hear you. Speak up a little bit louder. Like, speak up, bitches. So then we see Kimbella and Yandy, they go off to the side and they have a conversation with each other. And basically, the reason why Kimbella is so mad at Yandy is because of what happened in season number 7 when Kimbella went to Little Mendici's party trying to fight Sam and what is that other baby mama name? Erica. That's her name. So this goes back to that when she went to that party, and you know how Yandy backtracked at the reunion saying that she didn't know that Kimbella was gonna go there. So Kimbella's upset because Yandy threw her under the bus, so to speak. And I'm like, you are mad about this, but you did go to that party making yourself look like a plum fucking fool. And you weren't invited to that party, but you went without your kids. But that's none of my business. And then, Yandy and Kimbella start arguing with one another. And I'm just like, oh my God, all of this behind Sam and Erica. Sam and Erica. Two bitches who ain't even on the show anymore. Which technically I think Sam is on this show because I read earlier this season. I read earlier before the season came on, and when they first started filming, that Sam is actually back this season as a love interest for DJ Cornball. Which I'm like, Mona, why would you do that? I do not want to see Sam or Kim or Judy again at all. Especially Judy and them fucked up wigs and them hellified fucked up edges that she got. Alright, so then we have Juju and Yandy. So Yandy comes up to Juju with some kind of moo on. And they on the street doing the street shopping in New York. And then they start to talk about what's going on with them, how they've been busy. And how did they come up with Jonathan? Okay. So they talk about Jonathan's party. And well, no, Yandy mentioned Jonathan's party, and then Juju said that she was not invited to the party, and she's like, I wonder why I wasn't invited. And Yandy up there just playing like she's stupid. I'm like, bitch, you know why that girl wasn't invited. I can't. You can't pay me money to believe that Jonathan, old messy ass, did not tell you what's going on. So then they talk about Kimbella. And Yandy talking about how she texted her, and then how she said Kimbella got mad at her because she texted Jewel's other side of the family before she texted her, which that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And she says that she hasn't really saw the kids in a while, and her kids love their kids, and she's talking about how she's talking about how Mendices is also worried about Jewel's, and Yandy says that, they don't have to be friends per se, but basically she wants to be there for Kimbella. And like I said, I watched the Breakfast Club interview, and there are times that I do believe Yandy, and then there are times that I don't believe Yandy with certain things. But this instance, I actually do believe Yandy when she says that, she wants to get back cool with Kimbella. And I think for Yandy, the whole thing with Yandy is she came onto this show. Now, she was managing for Jimmy and Jewels and everybody. And she came onto the show and she gave up her manager hat. And, even on Breakfast Club, she said that she was, she was a producer. She gave up all that stuff to be on this show. And that messed up a lot of relationships. She messed up her relationship with Jim and Chrissy. And now look at her relationship with Kimbella and Jewels. And then also, when she was even managing them, she had said on the Breakfast Club that she was just going to deal with the men and not try to get involved with the women and be, have relationships with them, because she didn't want the girls to be like, oh, you with my man, but not answering my phone. Like, can you go to his room and do this? I think that's what fucked Yandy up, was when she let those lines get blurred. So, but like I said, a part of me does believe that she is sincere when it comes to Kimbella. But I think that there is so much hurt from Kimbella that she can't let her walls down to let Yandy back in. But I do believe that Yandy is sincere when it comes to Kimbella. All right, and lastly, we got Old Man Joe in the Shoe and Sin. So, since that whole debacle last week with Joe and Sin, when she had the hotel in New York, in the city, she's been sleeping in the baby's room and she ain't been sleeping with Joe. So Joe wants to make things up to her. So he's making her breakfast in bed, And breakfast in bed consisted of a bowl of cereal with milk and 2 pieces of toast that look like he just took some toast, took a piece of bread, maybe warmed up the bread and just spread the butter on there. But okay, A for effort, Joe. A for effort. So, he goes up there, he takes her to breakfast, and, he's talking to Sin, and, she's telling him how, she just doesn't, even after having her baby, she knew her body was going to change, but, she just doesn't feel sexy, and he's not helping her out at any cost. He's not having sex with her, he's not doing anything with her, and it's just making her feel unappreciated. So, he apologizes to Sin, and he tells Sin that he took off a whole week from work, and, he's going to book a trip for them to go to Cabo, and there's going to be no work at all. All thing they're going to do is spend time with each other and hopefully have sex, which is what Sin wants. So that was Love and Hip Hop. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.